This is the Rebound Tampa Bay podcast. I'm James Tully. This week we're going to lighten things up a bit as I bring in my good friend and colleague Sarah Phinney to talk about her new segment on Good Morning Tampa Bay called The Walking Club. Because a big part of rebounding and coming back from all of this is getting yourself back out there. And this segment helps you check out parts of the Bay Area you probably didn't even know existed. Here's Sarah. You can watch her every morning alongside myself, D. O'Reilly, and Greg D. She is Sarah Phinney, joining me on the Rebound Tampa Bay podcast. Let's have a little bit of fun today, Sarah.
Yes, so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I finally made it, Mom.
Yes, you finally did. You're on a podcast, Sarah. Quite honestly, you've been so busy. You've just been working so hard on the Walking Club series, and you know I'm a big fan, and I'm not just blowing smoke. I told you, we had a socially distant conversation, I guess, after one of the first ones you aired, and I said, this works. I really love it, and I know the viewer feedback's been great, too.
Yes, it's been so fun to see people go out to the different parks and trails that we've profiled. It's just, selfishly, it's been a great time. Not easy. I have the mosquito bites to prove it, but it has been really fun to do.
Well, let's talk about it, because you came up with this idea probably just a couple of months ago. I know you were racking your brain for something we can do to add a lot more optimism to our newscast, something that we can look forward to and people can smile about.
Yeah, so this was actually kind of born out of my own experience. I don't know about you, James, but I was so tied to going to a gym, going to exercise classes. Even on vacations, I would make sure to find a group exercise class wherever I was. So into that kind of lifestyle that when the gyms shut down, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. What do I do now? Like, how do I function without, somebody yelling at me and telling me what to do? And so I, started walking with a friend, and, we did Bayshore and downtown, Harbor Island, Davis Islands. And I really just enjoyed getting to know Tampa in a different way. And one day I was walking down the Riverwalk, and I was like, I would have never known about this had I not gotten out and been walking it. And so what else am I missing around the Tampa Bay area? And that's when I started thinking about, well, maybe I can, do a series of stories like this.
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up about things you wouldn't know about. The first one you did was on the Riverwalk, which is something that's near and dear to me because I just bought property about a half a mile away from it, and I go to the Riverwalk all the time. And you did this piece. It was about a minute and a half, and we'll talk about your editing process and everything that you jazz these up with because you do an excellent job there too. But you spotlighted a bunch of things I didn't even know about the Riverwalk, and I've probably been on there 100 times. We can start with the busts. If you walk in the Riverwalk in Tampa, the busts, they are at a very specific height. Every person who is recognized on those busts, that was their actual height, and that's how high the bust is. Something kind of cool when you're walking by to see.
It's something that you would never think about unless someone told you. Because, I have walked by them in the past, and I thought, that's kind of weird. They're different heights with somebody not planning it properly. But it turns out it's so purposeful.
That was a great one to start with because it is familiar to a lot of people, and you threw in these little tidbits you may not know about it. But then you went on to find ones that, and I've lived here going on 5 years now. I had no idea these places existed. I'll run through them. You did Alderman's Ford Conservation Park, Key Vista Nature Park. That is in Pasco County, Emerson Point Preserve in Palmetto, Mosaic Peace River Park in Polk County. All right, here we go. I'm going to try and get it right. The Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park in Northport, and Lake Conservation Park in Lutz. And most recently, you did the Mermaid Trail in Brooksville, which is a little scavenger hunt you can do right through the downtown area of Brooksville. You look for these little tiny mermaids. Look, it might sound a little corny, but that's fun, especially now. You can get out and you can be away from people and you can look for these little tiny mermaids. There's little clues. Look, I don't know. I thought that sounded like a lot of fun.
Yeah. You know what, James? That was the most shared walking club. People were really, really excited about the Mermaid Trail, and everyone in Brooksville, I think, was excited to see a story about their hometown too.
I will have to get into this a little bit. You go out there, you're shooting these, and often the conditions, at least during the hot summer in Florida, might be a little rough for you. Among the things I know that you were able to experience for the first time, you almost stepped on a snake.
Yes, it sure did. And you know what? So here's the thing. Before we even started shooting the walking club stories, I thought there is no way I'm going to ask a photographer to go out here with a full blown camera and, shoot these stories. So we shoot everything aside from the main interview on our iPhones. I have a stabilizer and the photographer has a stabilizer. And so I was walking, getting a shot, not looking at the ground. And that is when I almost stepped on the snake. May have been a cottonmouth, but nobody could clearly tell us what it was.
Does it matter? A snake is a snake.
It doesn't matter.
You posted that.
Matter.
Check out Sarah's social media feeds. You can find that, and her reaction is pretty funny for sure. What a lot of people don't know about Sarah is that she is our traffic anchor on Good Morning Tampa Bay, but she has a wealth of experience in broadcasting. She was a reporter. She's done a lot of anchoring. You'll see her anchor all the time on Good Morning Tampa Bay when Dear and I are on assignment or when one of us has off. You really honed your skills here. I know you thought about this. You broke it down. You said you brought the stabilizers out there. You're using our drone sometimes to get some footage. You're really creating an encapsulating experience, showing us these walking places, these trails.
The drone is so important to the operation. Thank goodness for our photographer, Tony. He is truly a saint. He goes out on nearly all of the shoots and gets the aerial footage because it's kind of hard to understand how big a park is when you're just looking at it from the ground. And so it's key to have that aerial view for viewers.
And you were able to give that to us. I was going to ask you about your editing process. I know you're spending a lot of time on it. She's got some cool music in there. Things are cut to the beat. I mean, this is like broadcasting talk here, but really the way that you've put things together appeals to the eye. And I know you're spending a lot of time on it, but anybody, in this podcast description, I'm posting the links to every single one of your walking clubs, by the way. So you can just open that up and you can click and watch them. You have to be really happy with the way they're coming out.
It's been years since I've been able to creatively edit like this consistently. Once in a while, you'll get a story where you can kind of do a lot of interesting things with editing, but it's nice to be able to kind of reactivate that part of my skill set because it's kind of, sometimes when you do traffic stories, they're pretty cut and dry. And so it's nice to have a little bit of a creative outlet. But I will say, James, as it relates to my permanent role, traffic, this has actually been really helpful because I'm driving to all these places where I never have been before. I've been as far north as Brooksville, as far south as Northport, as far east as Homeland, which is just south of Bartow. So it's been really good just kind of getting out there on the roads that I talk about all the time, but some of them I hadn't seen until now.
I know you definitely have spent a lot of time around the Tampa area, and with good reason. You live in the Tampa area, but have you changed your mind on your favorite parts of the Bay Area since doing this series, things you've seen?
It's so interesting to travel to the different parts of the Bay Area because they're all so different. Out in Polk County, we went to a swamp, and then in Manatee County, we went to Emerson Point, and it is so pretty with the mangroves and the trails along the water. And so it's really opened my eyes to all that Tampa Bay has to offer.
And it is quite a bit that they do have to offer just outside of Hillsborough County. I mean, Pasco is beautiful in some parts, and you find these little trails, things that have surprised you the most when you've gotten out there. Was there one, and you can call it out, it's okay, was there one where you looked up and you're like, well, I'm going to do it because I want to see that area, but I don't really have high hopes for this, and you got out there and it blew your mind? Anything like that?
I think of all of them, I haven't, I try to do a lot of research ahead of time. I do pre-interviews, so I talk to the person, with the park that we'll be interviewing. So I kind of have a general idea of what to expect. I like to look up the, photos that different people have posted on Instagram or Google, and then read reviews on Google because a lot of people are leaving those with the different trails. So I don't think some of them have exceeded my expectations. One that we're doing this week was really beautiful, Wall Springs Park out in Palm Harbor. They just recently added a new coast part to the park. And so it's pretty new. It actually opened the last couple of months. And that was just so pretty. And James, everybody out there was in such a good mood. They were just enjoying the lovely weather, and they were just all so sweet to talk to.
We should talk about the elements you include in these pieces because, yes, you're always talking to some kind of expert, whether it be a ranger or somebody who's familiar with the trail. And you're finding people out there, too, that kind of give their endorsements and talk about things you have to see while you walk the trail.
Yeah, because we don't have our big cameras and our like mic flags, yes. Jason and I have these little stabilizers. One little kid was like, "Are you guys shooting this for YouTube?" And we're like, "No, this is for ABC Action News." So sometimes, when I go approach people for the first time, I say, "I know it doesn't look like it, but I am with ABC Action News." And we're shooting a story, and it's been really fun to meet people. Actually met a viewer at Wall Springs Park. He was really nice.
That's great. Sarah Phinney, future Instagram influencer, but for now she's still with us on No, I'm kidding. Sarah Phinney with me here on the Rebound Tampa Bay podcast. You can watch her with us every single morning on Good Morning Tampa Bay. We're just lucky to have her because she's going out and doing stuff like this walking club. And viewer feedback has been really strong. In addition to all of Sarah Phinney's social media pages, I'll also link those up in the description. We're also sharing it on the ABC Action News Facebook page, and I got a chance to peek at those. People are sharing it a lot. They're checking it out. They're commenting. And I know they're getting back to you and letting you know that, hey, by the way, Sarah, we just went there this weekend. Thanks for spotlighting it. And that's great.
Yeah, it's so fun. I always ask for the photos after the story airs, and because typically during What's Good Tampa Bay on Mondays, we share photos from the weekend. And so I have had the opportunity to share some of the photos that people have sent me. I remember one couple, they traveled from Oldsmar down to Palmetto, and that is not a quick drive to check out Emerson Point after they saw the story. And then this past week, there were quite a few people that tried out the Mermaid Trail. And that was really sweet to see that they went out there with their families and had a good time and braved the heat a little bit to get out there.
You're going on your 9th one, and they air every Friday on ABC Action News Good Morning Tampa Bay. But look, they live forever online. So, if you don't catch it live on the air, that's okay. They're all on abcactionnews.com. You can just search Walking Club. You can also just check out the description of this podcast because all the links are right there for you. A little bit of inside baseball here. Since this all began, really Sarah and I are the only two members of the team that are in the studio. Dia is at home. Greg D, he's been doing weather out of a guest bedroom, I guess, for the past 6 months. And, we're all really close and we all really get along so well. But, Sarah's we always kind of talk back and forth about ideas for things. And I think you came to me a couple months ago, you're like, James, we got to liven things up. Like, everybody knows that the pandemic is happening and we need to give them an information, but we also need to look for things that people can smile about and find some optimism in. In addition to Walking Club, you and Greg started What's Good Tampa Bay, which is something every single morning you could tune in to see and interact with us and send Sarah and Greg pictures of something. That's a great idea, too.
Yeah, it is so fun to just kind of increase the interaction that we have with the people who are watching every day. And that's one of the reasons why Greg and I wanted to start it, because we noticed that our numbers during our Facebook Lives for the 7 o'clock, where we broadcast the first part of our show from our streaming channel onto Facebook, those numbers were really high because people were at home. And so I thought that is just a golden opportunity to chat with people and ask them some funny questions or some, maybe more deep questions, get their answers, and then show them on air.
Yeah, it's been really great. I mean, you've asked everything from, and you correlate these. It's been really great. I mean, you correlate these with like a national day. Yesterday was like National Ice Cream Cone Day, and people sent you their favorite places to go get ice cream. Today, this was an interesting one, but you got tons of feedback. It was National Plant Day or something, and people were sending you pictures of their plants. And that's a good one, Sarah, because people are just sitting at home, waking up or whatever. They're right by. They can just snap a quick picture, and they're sending you pictures of their favorite plants in their house. That's great.
Yeah. Yep. And, it's always interesting who kind of comes out of the woodwork on some of the questions. Some people that answer every single day, and we are so thankful for them. But whenever I see a new name, I really make an effort to use their answer just because I want to let them know that, we see them, we're thankful that they're interacting with us, and we want to give them a little love.
And look, it means, here's the thing. You might ask, well, why would I just want to send pictures in? Because Sarah put them on the air, and I've been anchoring news now for 13 years, and she's actually used one of my pictures one time, and even I found it exciting. I'm like, oh, she used one of my pictures. People watching it, like, they see their kids, they see themselves on TV. You create a really special moment for people, and I think that's been the real win of this whole thing.
Yeah, we have received some really nice messages about, how much it meant to them. It's like some of the back to school pictures, some family photos, and it's always fun just to get to know people a little bit better that know us, in a sense. There was one woman who sent me a picture of her maternity shoot, and she looked absolutely stunning. And then a couple weeks later, she sent me a new baby. So I think that's our first What's Good Tampa Bay baby, if we're counting.
I didn't know we were, but why not start now? It makes perfect sense. What's Good Tampa Bay baby. I like it.
Yes.
Let's talk about the future of Walking Club before we get out of here. I imagine you're willing to travel, and I'm sure you've got a list of things coming up. Can you kind of give us a sneak peek?
Yes. So we're headed to Pinellas County, Palm Harbor, and then St. Pete's. I've got one lined up in Lakeland, working on another one in Sarasota County. So they're going to keep rolling here. I'm pretty excited. Also looking for an opportunity to get up to Citrus County. So if anybody has any ideas for spots to walk, let me know. Or any ideas in general, always willing to take those because sometimes, obviously, the viewers are the best resources that we have.
Oftentimes, they most certainly are. And I know you're getting a big... You're getting a big helping hand from them with this segment, which is really nice to see too.
Yeah.
How far will you go, Sarah?
It's not how far I'll go. It's how far the photographer can go without getting overtime.
Right. All right. We'll have an open mind and see what happens next.
Exactly. No, I'm excited. There's no set end date for Walking Club that I'm privy to. So I'm just going to keep doing it every Friday during our 9:00 show, and as long as they let me.
All right. Well, hey, before we end this, are you doing okay with everything? I know a lot of people always wonder, how are you holding up? How have you been?
Like everyone else, this year is not easy, especially for people who live away from their families. You just think, oh my gosh, when is the next time that I'm going to see, my grandma or my mom or my cousins who I'm so close with? It has been pretty tough, but thankfully we live in a beautiful place. We have great friends down here. We work with great people. And so I'm thankful to be here at the end of the day and healthy more than anything.
Me too. Thankful for the health, thankful to be able to come in and do the job that I love to do. And thankful that I can do this podcast and talk with you long form about what really is a great thing, and that's this walking club and getting people to go out and do things safely, because we're all dying to get out of the house. We're all dying to get out of our apartments, whatever. And this provides that great opportunity. I
know. And now we've rounded the corner, in terms of summer, hopefully, and we can start enjoying the cooler temperatures. And I'm really excited about that. Sarah, best of luck filming future walking clubs. Just watch where you step. Yes, I will try. Thanks for having me. All right, thanks for being on. New episodes of the Rebound Tampa Bay podcast come your way every Wednesday morning. You can listen to it on every major podcast provider, and you can watch a video version on the ABC Action News streaming news channel. I also post the video up on my Facebook page. That's facebook.com/JamesTullyTV. You can find all the resources you need to rebound from this pandemic on abcactionnews.com/rebound. I'm James Tully. Thanks for listening.